It truly is the most wonderful time of the year. With Christmas break right around the corner, the sports world is in Christmas cheer. Welcome back to the Game Clock. Now, before we dive into today's show, I have a quick announcement. Due to the holiday break, there will be no Game Clock until we return from break. So this will be the very last Game Clock of 2022. On to today's show. Football season may be over, but basketball has just begun. And your varsity Goldbacks have started 0-3. 0-3! What is going on? A few days ago, they lost 52-50 against Valley Central. Despicable. In the World Cup update, we had the final between France and Argentina. This was probably the best soccer game I've ever seen. We started off with the Lionel Messi penalty, 1-0 Argentina. Then Di Maria scores to make it 2-0 Argentina. In the 80th minute, Kylian Mbappe scores, 2-1 Argentina. Then Mbappe scores 2 minutes later to tie it at 2. In the 107th minute of extra time, Messi scores again, which should have sealed the game at 3-2. However, Mbappe scores from the spot to make it 3-3. The game goes to penalties, and 2 key misses from France lead to their demise. With that being said, Argentina wins 4-2 on penalties. Your 2022 Qatar World Cup champions, Argentina, and Lionel Messi can now finally retire. In NBA updates, it's a great time to be a Knicks fan. Our boys smoked the Golden State Warriors 132-94 to get their 8th straight win in a row. Now, unfortunately, the streak was lost against the Raptors last night, but they play the Sixers on Christmas. So, a lot of positives looking forward to with the Knicks. Meanwhile, the Nets are on a 6-game win streak. In NHL news, unfortunately, the Rangers had their 7-game win streak snapped. They lost 3-2 to the Penguins last night. The record falls to 18 wins, 11 losses, 5 overtime losses. The Islanders lost 1-0 to the Colorado Avalanche despite a 46-save shutout by Ilya Sorokin. Their record falls to 18-13-2. Tonight, the Rangers and Islanders will face off at the Garden. Meanwhile, things have gone completely wrong in New Jersey. The Devils have lost a whopping 6 in a row after being the top dogs. The Devils got to turn around ASAP. Okay, everyone take a deep breath for a minute because this is where it gets good. MLB news. All the dominoes have fallen. Dansby Swanson, Cubs. Wilson Contreras, Cardinals. Xander Bogaerts, Padres. JD Martinez, Dodgers. Correa to the Giants. Now let's get to the New York teams. In the Bronx, all rise as the reigning AL MVP Aaron Judge re-signs for 9 years, $360 million. And he's not alone. The Yankees also got Giants former ace Carlos Rodon. Now, in Queens, that's a completely different story. After losing the best pitcher in baseball to the Texas Rangers, Mets owner Steve Cohen decided to turn into a literal cash god. This offseason, he signed ace Justin Verlander, 2 years, $86 million. Re-signed Brandon Nimmo, 8 years, $162 million. Edwin Diaz, 5 years, $102 million extension. Jose Quintana, 2 years, $26 million. David Robertson, 1 year, $10 million. And Kodai Senga, 5 years, $75 million. You thought he was done? Spoiler, he wasn't. Yesterday, the Mets re-signed Adam Ottavino to a 2-year, $14 million extension. And now all the Mets need is a bat. Just been informed that Carlos Correa's contract with the Giants has been voided, and he is signing a 12-year, $350 million contract with the New York Mets. Now, this Mets team finally might be the one to go for the World Series. I'm also getting word that Mets catcher James McCann was traded to the Baltimore Orioles. This team literally cannot do anything wrong. Enough to talk about baseball. Let's get to the wrap-up. This week in the NFL, it was chaos on steroids. Let's start off on Saturday. We had 3 games going, and the first one looked to be a huge disappointment. In this battle, we had the Colts and the Vikings, and shockingly, the Colts led 33-0 at halftime. But all of a sudden, something changed as the Vikings started clicking, led by a strong performance from Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. As the Vikings would come back, forcing it all the way to overtime. They won 39-36 in the largest comeback in NFL history. In Buffalo, we had another snowy game. This time, it was the Bills versus the rival Dolphins. This was a back-and-forth battle that may or may not have had some snowballs being thrown by the Buffalo fans. Dolphins were up 8 in the fourth, but choked it as the Bills forced overtime. They won 32-29, clinching a spot into the playoffs. Now, on a Sunday showcase, the Dallas Cowboys took on the Jaguars in Duval. This looked to be another rout by them boys, but it wasn't, as the Jaguars came all the way back down 27-10, giving them a 31-27 lead. Dallas would score, but the Jags would force overtime by kicking a field goal. The Jags would get stuffed first, giving the Cowboys a shot to win. Dak's pass was intercepted and ran back for a touchdown. The Jags would win 40-34, keeping their playoff hopes alive. In Las Vegas, we were treated to a classic between the Pats and the Raiders. This game will come down to the very last play. I'm serious. The last play was the whole game. The game was tied at 24 with 0.2 seconds left. The Pats were nowhere near field goal range, so they were expected to just run the clock out. Now, as crazy as it sounds, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to show this play, so I'll explain it the best as I can. Pats running back Ramondre Stevenson bursted for a big run, but to avoid a tackle, pitched it to Jakobi Meyers, who tried to throw it back to Mac Jones on a lateral, but this pass was intercepted by the Raiders' Chandler Jones. As a result, with one stiff arm, Jones sent Mac to the shadow realm and walking in for the game-winning touchdown. Unbelievable. The Raiders would win 30-24. On Sunday night, we had a game between two teams fighting for a playoff spot. The 7-5-1 New York Football Giants had their highly anticipated rematch against the 7-5-1 Washington Commanders on primetime. This is a scrappy game of good old NFC East football. Lots of turnovers in this game. Giants were up 20-12 with under a minute left. While Washington was moving down the field, they would score, but an illegal formation on the commies cost them the touchdown. They'd be stopped on fourth. Game over. Now on to the other results. The Niners beat the Seahawks 21-13 to clinch the NFC West. The Browns beat the Ravens 13-3. The Eagles avoided the trap game against the Bears, winning 25-20. The Lions snuck past the Jets 20-17. The Steelers beat the Panthers 24-16. The Chiefs beat the Texans 30-24. In overtime, the Saints beat the Falcons 21-18. Broncos country finally gets a win, beating the Cardinals 24-15. The Chargers beat the Titans 17-14. Bengals stayed down 17-0 comeback in a 34-23 win over the Bucs. And the Packers beat the Rams C team 24-12. Now we're low on time, but since Week 16 is approaching, let's talk playoffs. Starting in the AFC, the seeds are the 11-3 Bills are number 1. Number 2, the 11-3 Chiefs, who last week clinched the West. Number 3, the 10-4 Bengals, who clinched the North. Number 4, the 7-7 Titans in the tank division, which is wide open. Anyone could win it. Number 5, the Baltimore Ravens at 9-5. 6, the 8-6 Chargers, and the 7 seed is the 8-6 Dolphins. Currently on the outside looking in are the 7-7 Pats and the 7-7 Jets. So a lot is up for grabs. Moving on to the NFC. The 1 seed is the 13-1 Philadelphia Eagles. The 2 seed is the Minnesota Vikings. The 3 seed are the 49ers. Now both the Vikings and Niners clinched their division last week. In the tank division, the 6-8 Buccaneers are currently in first. At the 5 seed, the 10-4 Cowboys. At the 6 seed, the 8-5-1 Giants. And the 7 seed, the 7-6-1 Washington Commanders. Yes, that means if the season ended today, all 4 NFC East teams would be in the playoffs. Unbelievable. Now the teams on the outside looking in are the 7-7 Seahawks and the 7-7 Lions. Definitely there is a very tight race. Unfortunately, certain teams cannot qualify for the playoffs. They are the Texans, the Cardinals, the Bears, the Broncos, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the reigning Super Bowl champion LA Rams. Talk about a Super Bowl hangover trying to fix it with Fireball. As a Rams fan, this is a total abomination, and just get it over with, rebuild for next year. That's all the time we have for today. I would like to wish everyone the very merriest of Christmases and the happiest of New Year's. Until we meet again, I'm JJ Seglio, and I'll see you in 2023.